Alrighty, Hosses, now that we got Burp Suite set up, configured exactly how we'd like, what we can do now is we can start attacking our target. So what's the first step in attacking a website? Well, the first thing you should always do is make a sitemap. What is a sitemap? A sitemap is essentially just a visualization of the entire website structure. Once we have a sitemap, we can see all of the files, all of the directories, the entire structure of how the website is laid out. Now in Burp Suite, the sitemap also involves a log of all of our requests and responses. In other words, anytime we go to a website, it's gonna keep track of the requests and the responses, and we can do some pretty cool things with those, as you guys are gonna see later on. Alright, so sitemaps sound fantastic. How do we make one? Well, the first thing that we can do, there's actually two different ways you can make them, either manually and automatically. And if you use the spider, then it'll crawl your site and do it automatically, and I'll show you guys how to do that in just a second. But for now, I'll show you guys how to do it manually and some of the benefits of doing it manually. So if you hop over proxy, make sure this little button intercept is off. If it's on, then what Burp is going to do is try to intercept every single request. And it's annoying because then we have to go to a website, then hop back here and be like, okay, take this, go back and forth and back and forth. Just keep it off for right now, and I'll talk to you guys about in detail why you'd want that later. So hop back into your browser and just start clicking links. Alright, let's go to the user new page, info page, read a little bit of info. Alright, let's hop back in Burp and check it out. So behind the scenes, what Burp is doing is it's trying to build a sitemap for you. So this is the website, and if we expand this, we can see that right now it built one directory. This is the main directory that all the files are in, and we went to the info page, the user new page, and what it did is it logged our request. This is our request right here, and the server's response. So this is their header information and all of the source code involved on that web page as well. Now, one other thing I want to point out is if you guys were like, alright, that looks pretty cool, but got a quick question here. We only went to two web pages, info and user new. So what the heck is all this crap, and why did it get automatically generated? Well, behind the scenes, what Burp is doing whenever you go to a new web page is it's looking at that source code and it's pulling out all of the links. So for example, even though we didn't go to Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, since this web page has links to those pages, then it's going to go in, pretty much keep track of them, log them, and that is why you see that some of these links are gray. That means that they were logged, but you didn't go to it. So that's the difference between black and gray links, and also why a bunch of stuff is popping up that you may have thought, what's going on here? Now, another thing that you may want to do, and I do this almost all the time, is this. You see all these links right here? We really aren't concerned with these extra links right here. This is our target. This is the website that we're trying to attack, hack into. I really don't care about a sitemap for like Twitter and Google, anything like that. Well, anytime we want to kind of clean this up, what we can do is we can define our project scope. In other words, it's our way of telling Burp Suite, hey, this is the part of the internet that we really care about, this website right here. It's actually really easy. If you right click the main root website, you can click add to scope. And now in your scope tab, we can see that you now have a project scope. In other words, this, like I said, is a way of telling Burp, these are the targets that we're most concerned of. Now, if you go to sitemap, then what you can choose to do is if you click this little white area, this is your filter, and you can say show only in scope items. In other words, show the stuff only if it's in our scope. So if you click that and check it out, it now only shows the website that we care about. Now let me just talk about this for 1 second. Again, this is your filter. In other words, it says what do you want to see in your sitemap. Now, a lot of the times these default settings are great because you really don't care about images or CSS, because these types of files, they don't really have a lot of vulnerabilities, so there's no point in having them in their sitemap or logging their data. So we can just leave those unchecked. And also, if you have some types of files that you only want to log, or some types of files that aren't included in here that you never want to see, then you can adjust all your filter settings right here. Again, pretty self-explanatory. I don't need to talk you guys through all that. So there you go. The first thing that you always want to do is you want to start building a sitemap and define your target scope. Now, if you're like, okay, this sounds like it's going to be a lot of work, generating a sitemap by going to every web page and clicking it manually, why would I ever want to do that when I can just have an automated spider run and gather every link for me? Well, here's the thing. Whenever you first start trying to hack into a website, you usually want to avoid the sensitive areas at first. For example, if there's an admin panel, or I don't know, maybe some other sensitive area, maybe some links that you don't want to click, like a delete link or a logout link, the spider isn't that smart. So it's just going to click every link, try to submit every form, and you're going to be causing a lot of noise. So that's why whenever you manually map an application, the web server is always going to see you as just a normal person. And it's very hard to detect that you're keeping this information and storing it, and you also have complete control over exactly what link you want to click, and you won't accidentally go into any dangerous areas. So that, of course, is the benefit of manually creating a sitemap. And before I end this video, I should probably talk to you about this. If you ever want to change your target scope, then what you can do is you can go into your scope tab, and you can either just delete this, or if you want to add a new item to your scope, maybe, I don't know, you're trying to hack into 2 websites, you can do that as well. So let's see, add a new item, edit, remove. These are all self-explanatory. This load right here is if you already have a list of targets and you just want to load it in, you can do that as well. And also, this scope is not just for your sitemap. Every single tool, well, I don't want to say everyone, but all other tools in Burp are going to first check your scope before running those tools. And what this prevents us from doing is attacking every single website that we visit. It says, okay, for example, if you want to scan for vulnerabilities, then I'm going to set up my scanner to only run tests on this scope. And again, that prevents us from trying to attack the entire internet because that probably wouldn't be a good idea. So that's what you want to do whenever you start attacking a website for the very first time. You first want to define the scope, and then you want to start mapping it manually. Now, once you have a pretty good overview of the site structure and the site's code, then what we can do is we can use our spider to crawl the rest of it automatically, and I'll show you guys how to do that in the next video.